I've been noticing a lot of people, they've been moving out here to Los Angeles only to move back to where they came from. So is that considered failing? It could be, depending on the circumstances. So there are people who actually are already out here, who've moved out here maybe several years ago, and they just decided, hey, I want to start a new life. There's nothing wrong with that. But again, on the other hand, there is a lot of people who move out here to LA, they get frustrated, and they say, oh, LA is not for me. Now we're going to talk about it. Welcome to the podcast with Todd and Tasha, right here in Los Angeles, California, where the weather in Southern California is the best in the country. Sorry if I'm rubbing it in there.
It's true.
We're going to talk about some things here. We're going to talk about why a lot of people fail after they move to Los Angeles. There is so many different reasons, but we are not going to be able to get into all of the reasons in this video because it's just way too many. There is not really a particular order, but I can say this. A lot of people just do not plan properly to move out here. They don't plan properly. They are in a big hurry to get out here. They're so excited. They're happy. They want to just move out of wherever they're living at. And of course, they want that LA lifestyle real fast. But when you don't do any proper planning, that is one of the biggest cause, or probably the number one cause of you failing when you move out here.
Right.
Tasha and I came out here in, I believe it was 2009.
2009.
But in 2008, we were saving money. So we saved up $5,000. So it was Tasha, myself, and we had our little boy. So it was just the three of us.
Right.
Now, I have to be honest, that we did not properly plan. We thought we did, but we didn't. And the reason why I know we didn't, because we were so excited to move to California. We were really excited to get out of Detroit, which that is actually going to be a whole nother video that we're going to talk about.
That was the video I was thinking of.
Yeah. And yes, I was born in Detroit.
Born and raised and then moved out.
So, moving on. Seriously, though, so we were in such a big hurry to move out of Michigan that we didn't properly plan. So we were saving money, selling things, saving money. So we managed to save a whopping $5,000.
And we chuckle. Notice we're chuckling.
That is a big laugh. $5,000? We did not properly plan.
We were so eager.
We didn't even think about, the cost that it's going to cost us, the price that was going to cost us to actually move out to California, the drive, because we drove out all the way from Michigan to California. So that was a ton of gas right there. That already cut into the $5,000.
Yeah.
Then we had to stop and eat every few minutes. That also cut into the $5,000.
We did have some food in the car, but we still had to, definitely stop, get food, obviously. It took us 3 days. So, of course, we had to stop at some point. So, yeah.
I mean, 3 whole days it took us but by the time we made it out to, you know what? Let me back up. So, of course, I told you guys that, it cost as far as gas to drive out there. But we still already had to put our deposit down, security deposit, whatever, and the first month's rent. So, again, when we finally made it out to LA, we had way less than
$5,000.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's why we chuckled like, oh, 5,000. Like, oh my gosh, 5,000 now? Please, you cannot, unless you are a single person who plans on living in hostels and like roughing it for a minute while you like get your quote unquote hustle on. That's a whole nother thing. So
$5,000, that is just insane. That still didn't get us anywhere back then.
yeah,
But so now people are basically doing the same thing. They're excited. They don't properly plan. They don't have the money that's required to move out here. So again, they don't think about
without struggling.
Without struggling, they don't think about the cost as far as the security deposit. They don't even realize that. Okay, so when you're trying to find an apartment, a place to live out here, that you need to be making 3 times the rent.
Now it's 3 times. Yeah,
your income needs to be 3 times the rent, and you need to show at least 2 current pay stubs, your 2 last pay stubs. Again, showing that you make 3 times the rent. If you don't have pay stubs, you need to have at least 3 bank statements showing that you make enough to cover your rent, enough to even cover the year. It depends on if you are self-employed.
right.
Now, so you get out here, you run out of money, you get mad and upset, and then you go and tell everyone, oh, you know what? LA is not what I thought it was. Don't move out to LA. LA is not for me. It's not a good place to live. I just can't stand. Oh, I just hate LA. You're really mad at LA and blaming this city when it was your own fault because you didn't properly plan.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, that's perfect scenario. And, here's another one. So when people do move out here, especially depending on where they're moving from, another huge reason why, they fail is because they can't handle the culture shock.
Oh, yeah.
Of, out here. I mean, look at here, depending on where you're from, this is a whole nother beast out here.
It's like another country.
This is like another country, okay? You cannot expect... I have to say, you cannot expect anything else. Nothing compares to California. Like, I have not been to New York, and I already know that nothing compares to New York. Nothing compares to California as far as that's concerned. Especially now, like if you saw our previous video, we'll not talk about all the quote-unquote negative things, but hey, there are some culture shock things, and one of those being the homeless situation. As far as that, and maybe the not so clean areas, but also too, if you are come from a place where you didn't have to deal with graffiti, that type of thing, right. The quote unquote bougies or bourgeoisies, as far as the nose stuck up in the air, and people with chips on their shoulders or whatever the case may be, you may take that as just like, oh my gosh, this is just not the place for me because of the different attitudes, the different things that are going on here. Not to mention there's a lot of Spanish speakers. Some people may feel like, they're in our country, so they need to speak English. We have those type that live here, and if you can't deal with that, that's something that's a huge thing too. So this is a huge melting pot as well. So you have to be prepared to deal with that, as be accepting of that as well too. So
exactly. So another reason why you fail after you move out to LA is because of the fact that you don't properly set up your form of income, jobs. So a lot of your attitudes is, okay, I'm gonna come out there, I'm gonna find something, there's lots of work, it's X, Y, and Z, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. But you come out here, then you have a hard time finding a job. And one of the reasons why you have a hard time finding a job, because quite honestly, like I was one of those people when I came out here, I wasn't wholeheartedly looking for a job because I was getting too caught up in just hanging out, just the whole lifestyle, just chilling and saying, okay, I'm gonna find a job, just kind of looking for a job, but not really wholeheartedly looking. And then to the point where I really didn't even want to even get a job, which is absolutely insane. Well, at least a 9-to-5 job. Mm-hmm. So, but what I was doing, I was working gig jobs, things like that. So I was doing that for like different companies where, they pay you a set amount. So you're not properly setting up your job prospects out here, and wherever you're coming from, whatever job or field of work, line of work that you're into, you're kind of like, you give that up and you come out here and like, okay, well, I'm going to get into like the acting scene or modeling, rapping or singing, all that stuff. So you're so busy thinking about that you want to be in the entertainment business, and you're so focused on, and there's nothing wrong being focused on being in the entertainment business, but you need to realize and remember that you have to have a job. You have to have a job, because how are you going to be able to survive? How are you going to be able to live? How are you going to have a roof over your head if you don't have a job where you have guaranteed income? Because if you move out to LA to be some type of an artist, again, musically, rapping, whatever it may be, model, actress, actor, how are you going to support yourself if you don't have that steady income coming in? So you can't have an attitude like, okay, well, you know what? I'm an actor, I'm an actress, I'm a model. I don't need to work. I don't need to do these jobs, because those 9-to-5 jobs, those for cornballs. I don't, I'm a this and that. So you can't continue to think that way. You are going to really have a hard way to go. You're going to have a lack of money, lack of finances, and then you're going to be calling people trying to borrow money. It's just going to be a big mess. So, like, in other words, let go of the ego. You know what I'm saying? Just humble yourself and just bust your butt. Do what you have to do. So work your 9-to-5 and do your gigs, your modeling gigs, your acting gigs. Do that on the side until something becomes available to where you can start having a steady flow of income coming in from that.
Yeah. And to piggyback off of that, another reason why people feel when they get out here in California is they fall into the Hollywood trap. So again, this is aside from as far as the actual career side of it, but this is also the side as far as, the partying, the industry side. Well, I like to refer to it as, where you're basically at these different parties, you're with these different people. And honestly, a lot of people, you have to be very careful out here of their intentions, because let's just being real, people who live out here know that there are a lot of, quite a few scammers out here, people who they're really trying to quote unquote make it, so to speak. So they may say that they can do this and do that. You depend on that, and then come to find out they're like really, just being honest, a nobody. But, you get into this whole thing as far as, the whole Hollywood trap of, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and you go into these parties or whatever the case may be, and you kind of lose focus of who you are because you're trying to live up to this so-called Hollywood image that you're haven't even attained yet, and then you kind of fall into that trap of, hey, I don't have the money. I'm like, now you're doing like drugs and stuff, too much alcohol, too much partying. So that's another reason.
Exactly. That's so true. And another reason why people fail, and this is just another thing, and this, kind of ties into what Tasha was saying a little bit, but there's people out here say, okay, well, I'm going to move to LA because I got some connections, I got some hookups. Well, my cousin knows so-and-so, and so-and-so knows so-and-so. And one of my boys, they know Denzel Washington. And another one of my boys, they know a couple of rappers. And my girl, she know Mary J. And and my cousin, we grew up together. We not real cousins, but we like cousins. But one of his boys' friends' cousin's auntie's mother, but her sister's daughter-in-law's friend that live on the west side, they know Chris Brown. Because his father's uncle's brother used to work with Chris Brown's producer. I'm serious. That's just how I hear a lot of people talking. So they're like, all right, so I'm going out to LA. I'm going to hook up with that crowd. But do you know that a lot of people talk big? They talk like they really have something going on. Oh, come on out here. Come on out to LA. Oh, I'm hanging with Too Short. I'm hanging with all these people. And you're like, oh, you get all hyped. Okay, I'm going to come on out there. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. But come to find out, when you come out here and then you call up those same people that had these hookups with Chris Brown and Mary J. and the whole nine, Denzel, you trying to call them, contact them, crickets. you don't hear from them.
Right.
Voicemails coming on you, texting them. They
No
don't respond
response.
or anything like that. So people like talk a big game. So what I'm trying to say is that you have to be careful. Don't come out to LA because you think you have a hookup. Because other people say, oh, I get this hookup. We're going to hook you up. We're going to do this and that. We're going to do this and that for you. Because 9 times out of 10, those people are going to fail you. When you rely on people to so-called hook you up, you are going to fail, I'm telling you. So you can't rely on people to look out for you, because generally people aren't going to look out for you. I don't care who they are. People are going to look out for themselves. So when you come out here, it's every man for themselves. I'm telling you, every man for themselves. Trust me. I had a friend, someone that I did TV with for a long time, and was like, come on out here. I need you. Come on out here, XYZ. When I came out, he kept putting me on the back burner. Like a couple of times we went out and grabbed something to eat. But other than that, I'd be like, hey man, come on, let's go do something. Let's hang out. Let's go to lunch, whatever. Kept giving me excuses. But people from out of town would come in. His boys from out of town would come in, and they would hang out all night, hang out all the time. He would make room for those people. But here it is. I'm living out here in LA, and I want to hang out. But he kept putting me off, and I kept telling him about some of his friends. Some of your friends aren't really legit. They're not who you think they are. And come to find out, he told me that I was right. But even still, he kept putting me off. We're supposed to be friends like brothers. But, I mean, I basically learned a big lesson.
Right. And that leads me to the next point. This is just flowing so perfectly. And that is lack of a support system.
Oh, man.
Now, that can mean and can be super helpful if that support system is out here in LA or surrounding areas, but also, lack of a support system even afar, because an encouraging word from people who are not directly in the state is super helpful. And it can be, it can be, the difference between you staying and leaving. Even when you have someone to speak a word into you and say no, kind of hold you accountable almost, like,
right.
Hey, no, you said you're going to move out to California and, do X, Y, and Z, start that business, whatever the case may be. Like, this is your dream, don't give up because times are, seemingly hard right now. Those type of words from a, valuable system of support can be super valuable. Look at me saying valuable all this time, but can be super helpful. So lack of a support system, when you don't have someone speaking into you or helping you out, in some kind of way, I mean, that can you can feel completely alone. Yes. And just like, hopeless or whatever the case may be. And then you start questioning and think you made a huge mistake.
Yeah, and it really bothered me for a very long time, because he was basically really the only person I had out here, obviously outside my wife. I mean, a sprinkle of family members throughout California who I really didn't know all that well. But it really bothered me because I was dependent on him to show me the ropes around and to help guide me, because he's been out here longer than I have, and especially seeing how, like, we had a nice TV run for a long time and did a lot of stuff, and I really thought that he was a friend and like a brother and everything else. But I mean, I don't have anything against him. I've forgiven him, but just the whole thing is that I learned it was a learning lesson for me. So you just had to be careful, because it was like I might as well just go back where I came from. So I really learned a valuable lesson to never, ever rely on someone to hook you up, to help you out. Never, I don't care who that person is. Oh, I'm going to help you out. I'm going to do this. Don't believe it until it happens. Never believe something that someone tells you until it happens. Because, again, 9 times out of 10, that person will fail you.
Right. So let's see. The next thing that I have on my lengthy list, on the list here, is basically people a lot of times don't have I don't like to use this word, but it's fitting for out here. They don't have we'll say go-getter mentality. And you really have to have that out here as far as like, hey, you have to have a clear focus and just mental attitude of this is happening. Like this is happening. And that is really in life, not just even in California, but just in life or whatever. But especially out here, because you can get pulled into, again, the, easily dissuaded as far as like out here, like, oh my gosh, look at the gas prices, oh my goodness, look at this, look at that, what the case may be. But if you have a clear focus, like determination and goal, like, hey, I came out here for this is what I'm doing, and you just basically have tunnel vision, like that's how you survive. But if you don't, we've seen it all the time, that's how people end up, failing. It's just like your intention. You like, oh yeah, it'll be fun to move up there. It'll be great, blah, blah, but you did not have a real, like, hey, this is where I live. Like, I'm gonna make it out here some way, somehow. You didn't have that attitude. So then it was like you were out here playing games and you're just like, wow, the beach, whatever the case. And, just basically didn't do everything that you could, or that, a person could, to just make it. So, not having a go-getter mentality. I was going to say hustle, but I don't really like quote unquote hustle, but a go-getter mentality,
Right. And again, a lot of people fail, which is another reason why people fail, is because they just basically come out here for the wrong reasons. So we already said that they don't properly do research, but they come out here just because it's Hollywood, because it's LA, it's California, and they want to be close to the stars, next to the stars, and just all sorts of stuff. I mean, we stayed in neighborhoods like in some of the stars neighborhood. I mean, it's no big deal to us because, again, they're no different. These Hollywood celebrities, let me tell you something, they're no different than us. They're no different. We all bleed the same blood, which is red. Okay, and we all breathe, we eat, sleep, all that stuff.
They have to go to the hospital too. They have to go to the hospital. They gotta,
all of that. So they don't. That doesn't faze me. So, but you want to come out here because you want to be around the celebrities and you just want to be in a spotlight and you just want to just live that life. Well, you're not gonna make it. You're gonna fail. You're gonna find yourself going right back where you came from, because you have to have the right mindset. Again, you have to have the right mindset when coming out here, when planning to come out here. Just, you want to make sure you are coming out here for the right intentions. You have the right intentions, that you want to make it, that you have goals set, and you have determination that you are going to reach those goals. You are going to do whatever it is that you set out to do. You're going to do that. And then as far as the mentality of hustling or hustle mentality, you definitely need to have that out here, because there's people that's working 2 and 3 jobs. Sometimes you have to do that because that's part of paying your dues to whatever it is that you want to do in life out here. So you might have to sacrifice for a little bit, but it'll pay off in the long run. So if you had that right attitude, that right mindset, I guarantee you will make it. And another reason why people fail, this really should be the number one reason why people fail. This really should be the number one reason. And that number one reason, in my opinion, probably maybe a tie with the other one, is that people keep speaking. You keep speaking like, oh, well, I hope I make it. I hope I make it out there. I hope I survive. I hope I make it. I just hope things work. I just hope I don't. You have to speak what you want to happen, what will happen. You say, oh, I will survive out here. I am going to make it. I am going to be that architect. I am going to be that car designer. I am going to be this and that. Because if you go into a setting and you just already have in the back of your mind, oh, well, I might not make it. It might not work out. You keep thinking like that, then that's what you're going to get.
Yep, exactly. And last but not least, I was going to say, people often try to keep up with the Joneses. And that can get you in a world of trouble as well, because, again, you're trying to keep up with, the quote-unquote celebrities or whatever the case may be. You're trying to blow up on whatever social media by, as they say, flossing something that you don't even have. And then, that bubble ends up bursting. And then now you're sitting there like, oh man, I came out here, I was spending all this money. Maybe you did come out here. You had some type of cash flow or whatever the case may be, but something happened and that stopped. And so basically the things that you were doing before, we've seen this stuff happen. Things that you were doing basically quickly came to a halt because that cash flow stopped and that lavish lifestyle that you're living under the wrong guise and intentions basically, shot you in the foot. So,
right. And the last thing for me is that stop listening to some of these YouTubers.
Yep.
We talked about this in several other videos. Some of you guys keep listening to these YouTubers telling you all you need is $100 to move out to LA. All you need is $50. All you need is $500. All you need is $1,000. All of this mess, these tales, lies, everything, it just doesn't make any sense. You have to properly plan. You have to know what you're getting to. Like I was saying, as far as research, you have to research the apartment, the place where you want to stay. You have to research the neighborhood that it's in.
Yeah.
Along with the income, you have to research like parking, the cost of parking, because a lot of cases parking costs
extra.
You have to research in terms of getting your car registered out here, the insurance out here, all of that stuff. If you don't have a car, you have to consider how much it's going to cost for public transportation. Mm-hmm. You need to have a budget. If you don't have a budget, none of that stuff, you're in trouble. And we don't want anybody to fail.
Exactly. That's why we're telling you this is so that you don't make these same mistakes. So for those of you that are looking to move out here, you're thinking about it. You're just like, should I not? These are some things to consider. So if you do decide, actually make that firm decision, then and you'll be prepared so that you know what to do once you do make the move.
All right, so guys, that's it for this video, and we hope that this was able to help someone. Even if 50 people watch this video and it was one person got something out of it and helped one person, that's a blessing right there. And lastly, please remember to make sure you repent. Before you go to bed, repent daily and ask God to forgive you for all of your sins. Any sin that you commit that you weren't aware of, ask God to forgive you, and He will forgive you of all your sins. And seek first the kingdom of God, and everything will be added. All things will be added unto you. So God bless you guys, and we'll see you on the next video.
Peace.